Let me show you guys how to sew buttonholes with your sewing machines. Save this for when you need it. Step one is super simple. Grab your garment and mark with chalk. Measure out where you want your buttonholes to be. I'm using a Singer heavy duty, but this tutorial is pretty standard for most sewing machines. But first thing is grab that buttonhole foot. It looks like this. And then you're going to set your tension to 3, and then here are all the other settings that I use that are pretty standard for most machines. Even though these are the recommended settings, I would still test this on scrap fabric before doing it on my real garment. Now that I've got my settings ready, I'm going to remove the foot that's on the machine and I'm going to get my buttonhole foot ready. I'm going to do this by taking the button that I'm using, make sure you're using the right button that you're placing on your garment, putting that in the back of the foot and making sure it fits so that back part is adjustable. And then once I have that, I'm going to put that back onto my sewing machine, pull the threads out of the way, and then this next part is really important. You're going to take that presser foot, put it down, and push it away. So when you push this away, this is what tells the machine to stop and go. So now you can see I've got my fabric underneath. I'm going to start sewing and you'll see what happens, and you can also hear it. It does like a little click. So when it starts, it is sewing away from me, so make sure you measure your buttons accordingly and make sure you're using the actual button that you're going to put on your garment. So you can see it just did it. It sewed all the way back and now it did the length of the button, and then it is going to come all the way forward automatically, so you don't have to make sure that your buttonhole is the right size for your button. That's the whole point of this button foot. It does amazing, and every time your buttonholes come out the exact right size, and I'll show you what mine looks like. And then all that's left is I am going to repeat that for all the buttons that are on my garment. This is sped up, obviously. I wish it happened this fast in real life. But then I'm just going to take my seam ripper and I'm going to carefully make a hole in the center of those threads. And here you can see I have my 3 buttons that I'm adding onto my garment. Next, I am just going to sew on my buttons. You can do that with your machine. I just like to do it by hand. And then here is the finished product. Let me know if you guys have any more questions on how to add buttonholes with your sewing machine.